Hello, Algebra 1. I hope you're all doing well. Today we are going to do a lesson that's probably going to be pretty easy, but it'll help us get ready for the rest of our lessons this week. So today we are just going to work on finding two numbers that. Now our two numbers will always multiply to something. So our M today stands for multiply. And they will all add to another number. So anytime you see M in our notes today, we mean multiply. A means add. Some people also call these magic numbers. And again, today's lesson should be pretty straightforward. We just need to get ready for what we're doing the rest of the week. So let's jump on in. Oop, too far. So find two numbers that multiply and add to the following. Usually when we set these problems up, we make what's called an X. So what we're doing the rest of the week we refer to as the X method. The number that we are trying to multiply to, we put on the top. Multiply. So we're trying to multiply to 6. The number that we're trying to add to, we put on the bottom. We're trying to add up to 5. Many of you probably already know which two numbers we're looking for here. But just in case you need a way to help you through this, think about the factors of the number that you're trying to multiply to. So I gave you that yellow sheet of factors if you were in class the last day we were at school together. So our factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. We want to use the pair that's going to add up to 5. So that pair is going to be 2 and 3. So those numbers get filled in on the sides there. So the numbers 2 and 3 are the numbers we're looking for. All right, let's jump over to number 2. We are trying to multiply to 15 and add up to 8. Again, if you're not sure, look at your list for 15. It's pretty short. You've got 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. Which of those pairs adds up to 8? It's got to be the 3 and 5. Pretty easy, right? We've got a total of 10 examples that we're going to do together. So there's 2 of them. Let's move on to the next 2. All right, again, we're going to set up that X and fill in what we are multiplying to, 24, and what we are adding to, 14. 24 has more factors than the other problems we've done. We've got 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. So when you're trying to decide, you need to go through and think about what happens when I add those two numbers instead of multiply them. Well, 1 plus 24 would give me 25, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 14, so I know that's not it. 2 plus 12, that does give me 14. So that means that my magic numbers that I'm looking for are 2 and 12. We don't need to check the other ones because we already found out our magic numbers. So we can just cross those off. We seeing how this works? What's different about number 4? Well, we're multiplying to 15. This time we are adding to a negative 16. So when we think about our factors for 15, we did this earlier. We had 1 times 15. We also had 3 times 5. But we also are going to have -1 times -15. Remember, you can multiply two negatives together to get a positive. We're also going to have -3 times -5. So anytime you're multiplying to a positive number, your factors need to have the same signs, but they could be both positive or they could be both negative. Again, we're looking for the one that's going to add up to -16. And this time, that's going to be the -1 plus the -15. Okay. If you have questions, make sure you're writing them down so you can email them to me and we can talk about it. For now, I'll move on to our next two problems. We need to multiply to +30, add up to -13. So if we're multiplying to a positive and adding to a negative, hopefully you're realizing both of these numbers do need to be negative. Let's look at our factors of 30. -1 times -30. -2 times -15, -3 times -10, -5 times -6. Okay, again, both factors need to be negative. The one that's going to add up to -13 is going to be the pair -3 and -10. So that is what finishes my answer. Number 6 switches gears a little bit. This time we are going to multiply to a negative number. So we are multiplying to a -10 and adding to a -3. When we multiply to a negative, one of your factors needs to be positive, the other factor needs to be negative. So we've got a few situations to consider. We could have +1 times -10, or flip the signs, -1 times +10. +2 times -5, or flip your signs, -2 times +5. If we want to add up to a negative number, the bigger number needs to be negative. So that's going to eliminate those two options. We want our bigger number to be negative if we add to a negative. The option that's going to add up to -3, I'm hoping you can see, is going to be 2 and -5. 2 plus -5 is -3. 2 times -5 is -10. All right, 4 more problems to practice. Again, we are going to multiply to -18 and add up to +7. When we multiply to a negative number, our signs have to be different, one positive, one negative. So for our factors of -18, 1 times -18, -1 times 18, 2 times -9, or -2 times 9, 3 times -6, or -3 times 6. This time we're adding up to a positive number. That 7's positive. So this time our bigger number, or our bigger factor, needs to be positive, which rules out all of those options. We need our bigger factor to be positive. Looking at that list, the only one that's going to add up to a +7 would be -2 plus 9. So those are the magic numbers that we're looking for. Okay, number 8. We've got multiplying to 45, positive 45, adding up to negative 14. If we multiply to a positive, you need to have the same signs, both positive or both negative. Since we're adding to a negative number, I know both numbers need to be negative. So for 45, we're looking at negative 1 times negative 45, negative 3 times negative 15, negative 5 times negative 9, and that's going to be the pair that adds up to negative 14. So negative 5 and negative 9 are my magic numbers. Pause the video, rewind it, slow it down, speed it up, write down questions. I'm moving on to the last 2. Go ahead and pause it real quick and try these 2 on your own. And then I am going to put the answers up for you in just a minute. All right, hopefully you paused the video and gave yourself time to try these on your own. If we are trying to multiply to negative 12 but add up to negative 1, we need 3 and negative 4. If we are trying to multiply to negative 6 but add up to negative 5, we need 1 and negative 6. Again, the reason here 3 times negative 4, is negative 12. 3 plus negative 4 is negative 1. The reason on number 10, 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. 1 plus negative 6 is negative 5. Let me know if you have any questions. Your assignment this time, you'll have to look at the PDF for the questions, and then you'll have to submit your answers in the Google form. If you have questions about how that works, please let me know. Look at the PDF for the questions, submit your answers on the Google form so that I can know that you did your work. See ya tomorrow.